to Global TV Talk Show. This is a night scene of San Diego 92101. It's the harbor, of course, the Embarcadero. Most of those are residential towers. Office buildings are behind me over there to my right. You see that vertical pink light that's on the side of an office building. Anyway, this picture I took a couple of years ago from the airport hotel in Sheridan. Beautiful, isn't it? Yep. And that building with the green lights on it, that's the Westin Hotel. And the building just to the left of that is One America Towers. It's full of hedge fund people and lawyers and accountants and others. And the building across the street to the right of that with the green circles, those are office buildings full of attorneys. Right down the street is the government center, federal government, state of California, county of San Diego, and city of San Diego. These are all the offices and courthouses and whatever of the governments right downtown. And where I live is right in that center to the right of the building with the green lights. It's called State Street. And it's a very interesting place, that's for sure. Our show today is Hello Asia Pacific, or as it's called now in Washington, Indo-Pacific. It's a little strange, isn't it? Indo. It's actually the big region of the world, North Pacific and South Pacific, South China Sea, I'm sure you've heard of, the Indian Ocean, India, Australia, New Zealand, Vietnam, Philippines, Korea's, Japan, Taiwan, China, of course. It's a huge area. So today we're going to have speakers from Japan and Hong Kong, and also from the US, 2 locations, and we may have a couple of surprise guests. So we'll be right back with our program. Okay, so the camera is on. So Kana, welcome to the show. And where in Japan are you?
I'm based in Tokyo. And
oh, great. And Tokyo. And so Amiko will join us, and she's in Kobe. And
yes,
we're also going to be joined by Beverly, and she's in Hong Kong.
great.
And then we're going to have people from around the U.S. join us, not too many. And hopefully they'll come in pretty quick. But if not, it's just you and me then. But okay, so the concept here is to just in a friendly way, just talk about your job, and
Okay.
or the job you want to get. And I call that branding. All right. What is, what's a brand? Well, the professional brand, what is the company all about? Well, okay, and what's the culture of the company? And of course, what the product is or the service.
Sure.
But the series of um statements about how the company actually helps people do something, how the company's products and services, and of course, the representatives of the company, how they actually help people achieve something. And, so it's like a happy place.
Okay.
If that happens, it's great. The nice relationships can start based on the delivery of that service or product that
Got it.
helps people in the company feel good, do something better,
Sure.
solve a problem of some kind. Okay, so that talking about that makes the person like you and me
Mm-hmm.
be a part of that discussion, which
Okay.
means we
Mm-hmm.
we talk about. I've got a couple of people I have to let in here. 1 second.
Great.
Okay, 1 second. Couple of people who I don't know. Okay.
You don't know? Okay.
We're gonna find out. Here we go. Oh, that's funny. So, surprise. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Hi, say hello to Kana in Tokyo. This is Stephen in Arizona.
おはようご
Okay.
ざいます。
おはようございます、スティーブンさん。
All right. So this is the first time Kana and I, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, Kana is my name.
Kana. Okay.
かな。はい。Yes.
Okay.
Kana-san.
はい。はい、スティーブンさん。
Yeah. And with us is
さ
somebody else in the background here.
John is my colleague, actually. I shared the link with him, but he may not to come in this link, I guess.
Well, Jean, we welcome you, Jean. You cannot you cannot hide. You have to be visible. And
Hello.
oh, there you are. Well,
Hey.
welcome.
I will not be on in the show, but I'm trying to maybe take some picture for Kana when he joins the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, that's great. That's great. So we are in what I call the global meeting room, which is
Right.
my happy place.
Great.
Okay, where it's a psychologically safe place to meet new people and exchange ideas. And Jean, are you also in Tokyo?
Yes, I'm based in Tokyo. I'm
Yeah,
working together with Kana.
yeah. Okay, that's great. That's great. Amico, welcome, my friend.
Morning. Well, good afternoon for you.
Yeah, it's 5 p.m. here in
Oh,
California,
うん。
and I know. What time is it there in Tokyo?
9
And
So
o'clock in the morning.
9 in the morning.
9 in the morning,
うん
okay.
うん。
And we're going to be joined now by Philip, and he's in Florida. Hello, Philip.
Hi, just joined on. Can you
Yeah,
hear
just
me?
join in. Yeah, we hear you and see you. I need you to put on a light bulb. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Great.
let me work on that.
Okay. So as you could see, Kana, we're very informal here by design, and that is a comfort factor, a feeling of comfort.
うん。
Amiko can talk about this. For the first time, she was about a year and a half ago, was her first time, and very, very different exposure now. You have had tremendous welcome and success from the US-based relocation industry and have won awards because of you personally and the culture that you drive in all Japan relocation. And it's very evident, in other words, apparent, visible that you're a genuine person. And that honesty has come through in all of your in-person meetings at the various conferences you've been to, not to mention the 5 or 6 times we've been together in this global meeting room on TV. So I want to introduce Philip Berry, a longtime friend and business guy who has been very visible on our screen. Philip has extreme background in top level, huge company, global people operations. Philip, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, Philip, this is Kana, who's in Tokyo, and
Um,
our friend Amiko introduced.
Konnichiwa.
She's the matchmaker, like that song from Broadway, Matchmaker, Matchmaker, Make Me a Match. So I'm a link maker, connect me, please. And this is James Moss. We're going to connect James. James is on the beach in Hampton, Long Island, New York. Uh, and actually in the East Side, 57th Street. Good place to be. And Miko is in Kobe, Japan, and Kana is in Tokyo, and Zhang, you're in Tokyo. And what's the name of your company, Kana?
Kadome, Kadome. Kadome is my company name.
And what does Kodami do?
Kadome is actually Kadome stands for the key asset destination of me, which means we are trying to, support your asset to relocate to Japan. So we support the real estate brokerage and also the operating afterwards. And then also the concierge service for the investors to start up company in Japan, settle in Japan, something like that. We're a very new company, actually.
Yeah. Well, good luck. That's great. So
Thank you.
this show is all about public relations, business relations. What are we talking about? It means talking about ourselves, talking about our own brand. And Philip Berry is the preeminent, world famous guy about branding, corporate brands, and notice I said plural, brands. What's the culture? How is that culture explained to the public, to the customer base? He's going to talk about that. And the personal brand. We have with us Beverly Sun in Hong Kong. Thank you for being here again, Beverly. You're on mute.
My pleasure.
Oh, there you
Thank
are.
you.
Great.
Apologies, a little bit late.
No, that's
Yeah,
all right. I
thank
see you're in zero gravity and out of space.
absolutely. We have no space. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
Well,
There you go.
so here I am in downtown San Diego.
Oh my God.
It's a picture I took a couple of years ago. That's the waterfront side of things, but it makes a great
Mhm.
picture. All right. So
It's bad.
yeah, so we're going to be joined in a few minutes by another American, Paul Falcone. Uh, Paul Falcone and Stephen Emerson, Emerson, I'm sorry, that's a guy who I knew for 30 years ago. Stephen Howard is a much better looking guy than Stephen Emerson. But they're both world-class authors, and I'm really honored to have had them along with Philip Berry come and talk about their books and about their meaningful experiences in business and how it's improved their own personal lives as well as the lives of people they come in contact with. Stephen, your recent book, Humany, Humony, been winning award after award for speaking a new, simpler, humanistic language
Hmm.
in the
Yes.
business context.
Both in business and non-business, Ed. You're not aware of this, but we just picked up an award last week from the Firebird International Awards. We picked up 2 awards, one for the best cover and one for the best nonfiction general category. So we're very pleased about that.
Way to go. Wow. Wow.
Congratulations, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go around and I'm going to turn the mic over to Beverly Sun in Hong Kong. Beverly is the founder and owner Asia Pacific Properties, which is all over that region. Beverly, do a better job than I just did about what your company is all about today.
I don't think I can do any better than yourself, but thank you very much. Asia Pacific Properties, I founded it in 1985, and frankly, used real estate as the backdrop because this is where the costs are. And because of the divergent practices at that time, I needed to have a company that represented integrity and ethics and had a very high standard of performance. So simultaneously, having moved here from the US myself and having gone through all the trials and tribulations of a transition, by the way, moves probably are one of the 5 most critical crises that one faces in life.
especially
gone
across
to-
borders
Well, certainly across borders, it
and
could even,
cultures.
it is all about culture. And the nuances, not having the wherewithal, I then pioneered relocation services in this region and then took the model to China in the 90s when no one would want to be in China. But again, it's about understanding culture and my own background. As I had said, I'm from the 50th state. If everybody might look through their Google, then you'll remember the state that I'm from. I have come from a very diverse community, so the idea of biases never entered my, I would say, thought process. It was only until I left and was in the US and I learned more about differences in culture, and that created a great platform of appreciation to share and to work on a model, whether it be transitioning people or working in different communities to establish strategies for corporations to use culture as a backdrop and to enter communities in a very constructive, harmonious way. So that's the
Would
that's
you
it.
call all of that the spirit of aloha?
I would call it more than, yes, definitely, but it's really the spirit of globalization at a time where we're starting to shrink on that model. So being such a advocate and strong proponent of diversity and integration, no matter where we are, even in our own little communities, I am always carrying the flag on globalization, aloha, and appreciation and respect for other cultures.
So Amiko, you've been traveling around a bit, meeting people in person. You went to the Singapore thing. You
Yeah,
went here and there. So
Mhm.
how has that changed you personally? Speaking
Uh,
personally about your personal brand.
Personal brand. Oh, it's
Yeah, about yourself.
okay. Well, it's as you know, I'm really shy people, shy person. But being the meeting the different people, different background and professional. Especially, I like your talk show because you have so many professional people. I follow the Philip's LinkedIn, and it's nice message always. And I always like to hear the beverage story. It's running, and also the conferences and after conferences meet many people. And actually, I'm here today. I'm visiting the one of the service apartment in Japan, Yokohama. This is the apartment Yokohama Bay is one of the best service apartment in Japan. And today I'm going to move to Tokyo. They meet more, how do you say, connecting people has more, how do you say, it's more valued to them, how do you say, expand the business. Sometimes not only the expand business, you can find how do you say, you can feel that connected with people, then become friends. I'm really, our company is growing, but also my network is growing, and I'm so enjoying doing job at the moment. Hello.
Yes. Yes. Hello.
That's great.
I
Hi.
am being contacted by Paul, who cannot get into the green room
Oh.
here, and so I'm trying to figure out how to do that here. So I want you guys to keep talking. Kind of. Are you
Yes.
happy? Are you comfortable yet?
Yes, I feel very comfortable, and thank you so much for your hospitality. I was a little bit shy this morning because I'm not so used to be in this kind of show. So everybody, thank you so much for your hospitality to host me.
Yes. Okay. I have to try to do two things at once here,
And,
and
and,
it's a little
and
hard. But
Kana, if I may, can you tell me a little bit more about your business again and what you're
Thank
doing?
you. Yes, sure. Thank you. I actually has been in the relocation and service apartment industry for over 20 years. And then this is why I met Emiko-san from my ex job. But now after 20 years, I decided to start my own business, which is to support the overseas investor to find a comfortable place in Japan to hold their retirement life or to relocate here. So I support them to find the right property or the land or the house. And then also I'm supporting them to incorporate their new business in Japan, something like that. Thank you for asking, Philip.
No, no, definitely. Ed, I'm just wondering if I wanted to reflect with Kana on one thing regarding my experience with Japanese companies.
Please.
And at one point, I did mention this
Okay.
to Emiko. When I'm now living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and I was living in New York City before. And one of the things that I did when I was looking for relocation companies who would be able to move my goods from New York to Fort Lauderdale. And so I looked at a number of different companies, as one does in this business. However, one of the things that I did was I picked a company that I really felt was very strong, exhibited strong skills in customer service and in being able to personalize their efforts to me with their staff on a business basis and on a personal basis. And let me be more specific. So for example, I was moving, I used to live in Paris, and one of the things that I did when I was there, I have over 200 bottles of wine. And and one of the things that was important to me was to be able, what I did was I built a area in my condominium in New York that would house all of my wine. And so I talked to different companies and I said, look, this is the challenge that I have, this very big type of human-made case, which it would hold all of the wine. It would be able to refrigerate it. It was made also, it was carved in wood. And so, and I talked to a company, one company which was highly uh, recommended to me. But then when I spoke with them, what they didn't do, they didn't exhibit the care that this other company, Japanese company, exhibited. And let me be specific. What this company did, the Japanese company that I was working with, they came over to my condo, and of course, all of us know about the way that you can take paper objects and move them around, and I forget the name of that particular craft, at the moment. But they were able to go to my wine cellar and they took it apart. They went and they took it all apart piece by piece. And then what they
Wow.
did, they had a truck go from New York all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, and apparently they were trading who's going to drive the wine down, so that way they were ensured that there was no loss of, you have to keep this at wine at a certain temperature, and so they made sure that it was maintained at that temperature. When they got to my condominium in Fort Lauderdale, they came there and they put it back together like it was a puzzle, and so just the care and treatment of that was something that and you know what, they were a little bit more than the other company. However, they exhibited much more profoundly the caring and customer service aspect, that made me more comfortable paying more money for something. And so I didn't, so okay, so it's 15 thousand more, but if you get what you want, you will pay for that type of service. And so that's what I wanted to just show to you. And in fact, I'm still in touch with a number of those people through LinkedIn and also through Facebook. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that to you and share that with you actually. So
Thank you so much for sharing. That's a beautiful story.
Hey,
yeah.
hey, hey,
May I
Phil.
just add something to that?
Yes.
I totally agree with you. It's the personalization of our industry.
Mm.
I would also like to make a small distinction between movement of household good news and moving families. And that requires equal sharing and then perhaps even more, in the sense sometimes you can replace a rare book or even a rare bottle of wine, but you can never replace a life.
Exactly.
So, but equally important. And when I speak about not being able to replace a life, people are very vulnerable. They have no wherewithal necessarily. Intellectually, yes. Google, yes. But they have or may not have the experience of being in a third world country or in a less endowed country. And then economically, I would say less impoverished and culturally so different. So that whole concept of taking each family and identifying their personal needs is quite critical. We, by the way, deal with schools and pay a great deal of attention to schools before we even look at a move. And increasingly, we find children with special needs. I'm in the throes of setting up in Taiwan a special school because one of the corporates who are moving into Taiwan has I'm just surprised at the number of children who have special needs and require special education in a platform that has limited resources. So these are exciting aspects of what we do, Philip. And
That's
I think
Stephen.
the idea, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm talking to
okay.
Joanne here.
So anyway, what we do, you always need to be able to create and innovate, and nothing is static in our industry. So it's unlike a
Exactly right.
chip, much
Exactly.
Talking,
more.
talking about
strict.
nothing static, let's welcome Paul Falcone, who found his way into the studio, and here you are. Wow.
Sorry for the delay. I was hitting the wrong button, Ed, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, talking about wrong buttons, I did a wonderful show this morning, speaking of wonderful shows, and it was really good. And I forgot to hit the record button. I was looking, I was looking for it in Zoom about an hour ago. I said, "Oh my God!" I just,
Okay.
my eyes watered. I was so upset.
Didn't you just have a birthday, Ed? We'll leave it at that.
It, you
We
know,
celebrated your birthday the other day.
that is really something because I think I'm in a cognitive decline. I just,
No, you're
No,
not.
the intention
Oh,
there
yeah,
is for
well,
you to, the intention is to redo it. There you go.
redo it. Oh yeah,
Exactly
okay.
That's
right.
right.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So anyway, I turned 80 and I don't
Wow.
feel it. Uh, and I know that all of you are younger. Paul,
At
how old?
heart, at
Paul,
heart.
Paul, how old are you today?
for the global audience, just so everyone knows, I'm 62. Thank
Great. So, how do you feel about the Paramount Skydance merger apparently going to go through?
Mm,
Ed, must we?
I want to
interesting.
Uh,
say this that Paul was an executive in Paramount and related studios.
yeah, that was a while ago. The fact that Paramount's name keeps coming up in such negative context really kind of hurts because it was a wonderful place to work. But I don't know. They're in the depths of all this stuff, and I don't know how they're going to dig their way out. It's not looking very good for them right now as far as publicity. That's for sure.
Mm,
It's a real surprise. My son also was in the innovation group in Paramount years ago before he went in with his own. Right now, he's doing a lot of investments in different things, and but it was a great company. I mean, it really. I just enjoyed the way they approach things. But anyway, we're in different times now.
Yeah, Philip, I think the whole entertainment industry is just having so many problems these days, and the layoffs are so big, and it's really imploding, which is sad to see. But people consume content differently than they did back in the day when they were
Right.
building brick and mortar studios. They don't really need
Mhm.
that anymore. So it's
Right.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
At
Do
one,
you think
yeah,
do you think that the damage would be interim and we need to wait for a few years and there is a reversal in this, given the sentiment?
I would very much think so and very much hope so, but they don't have the time. That's their problem, is they didn't have the time. And I think they made some really bad decisions in the short term to try and get whatever they needed to get, which in her case was getting FCC approval to merge her company with Skydance Media. But you can't lose sight of your compass when you're doing that. You still have to think of the moral good. And I'm afraid that they're one of many organizations that have just thrown that to the wayside
That's right.
just to survive. So.
The pressure.
Do you know in the US, the #1 TV channel now is YouTube? It's really surprising, I think, because you would have thought it'd be the major networks and Sundance and NBC and all the rest of them, Sky where I come from, but YouTube has sort of overtaken them all. And YouTube when it started was so like a little sort of video posting portal. So massive changes going on, absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So
very, very true.
I started on YouTube in early March of 2020 when COVID crashed into my live meetings and events business of 30 years. And since then, I've produced and financed and distributed more than 1,200 productions on YouTube. And if I can do that, anybody can do that. I have to tell you. Okay, everybody, James Moss and I did a great broadcast earlier today about London property. And of course, something about New York and Brooklyn. But he's living in 57th, East 57th Street now, American citizen. But we knew each other when he was a surveyor, property surveyor in London, when I produced live meetings there 20 years ago. So this really interesting. I think Philip Berry, you probably at one of the meetings that James sponsored.
Yeah, I think so.
Inside that club in the city.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
you did
remember the name of it. The fancy club.
Yeah, you did a bunch of things there.
HAC.
The HAC, yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was a bit of fun. It's a reserve military reserve regiment club.
Yes, I
And
remember being. I was in this
a lot of fun.
this hall of armor. There weren't
Yeah,
people in armor, but it looked like they were walking around.
I think some of them still put it on actually. But yeah, it was a really fun session. It was great. It was
Yeah.
great. Different.
So the theme of this program is strengthening, and I have to owe this to Philip Berry, strengthening international business relationships. I thought of developing, but he said, no, it's strengthening. Phil, would you like to go a little deeper than I just did on that theme?
Well, I think I've worked in as a VP of Human Resources throughout my career at Colgate-Palmolive. I had individuals in 60 different countries reporting to me throughout. I've been in every single continent. And one of the things that I think about is that there are a number of relationships that exist. The people are tied to people in a certain way. However, what we need to do is to think about, especially in the new times with new generations coming into the workforce, we have to think about how we strengthen relationships and what we can do differently in order to make that happen. So for people who are not like all of the people like Paul and Stephen and a number of us who have had and who have been involved internationally, what we're looking at is the next stage. And to me, the next stage is what do we need to do differently to strengthen relationships? And it really comes out of being focusing on three different things. One is that we need to be able to understand the cultural component. We need to increase our competencies. There's too much of a focus right now on, oh, how smart are you? And, IQ. And IQ is good. It's very important, but it's not enough. It's not, it
Totally
won't
agree.
take you to the next stage. And then we started moving into the whole area of EQ, where we could understand emotional intelligence a little better. And especially as people move to higher levels in the organization, and they need to understand, how do I work with people on a team basis? How am I able to be more empathetic as a leader? How can I understand how to move business and get a discovery of different areas, which I'm not doing right now? However, you can't just do that through IQ, and you can't do it through EQ. What's needed is to increase the
Patience.
cultural quotient, and understanding. And so I found that as I was working with different branches of the company that I was working with, I worked at Procter and Gamble also, and in addition to Colgate-Palmolive, and also with the Clinton Foundation. And one of the things that I found is that people needed to understand how they could interface better with the consumer, the ultimate consumer, going back to the consumer, understanding what he or she wants and desires, understanding what's important from a family perspective, understanding purchasing patterns, understanding how individuals could be able to make their life more rich, quote unquote, happy, not only inside the corporation that they're working, but also how can they delight the customers so that customers want to come more to their business. Yeah, and that is what cultural quotient begins to look at. Also, it begins to look at the fact that in every country that you can think about, there is a transition of people from one part of their people aren't just in the large urban cities. What happens is that the outgrowth of that, when you look at some of the outlying areas in almost any city that you can think of, people are beginning to expand and improve their housing situation and their lifestyle situation. And so if companies are going to be successful, then we have to be able to market and position our products and our services to the ultimate consumer in a way that is going to delight them better. And so that's why I think that this whole issue of CQ, and understanding the cultural quotient is going to be critical in moving forward. And also the last two pieces I would say on this is this, that and we are now looking at new generations. Now we're talking about Gen Z. We're looking at new generations that are coming into the workforce. Well, we need to understand what their desires are, how they think, what's important to them. We need to understand how we can begin to make the proposition to them so that way they can stay, then they can grow in the organization that you're in. Sometimes individuals who have come to a company for a certain period of time, maybe after 2 years, 3 years, and they begin to have wanderlust. They begin to say, well, what else is there? I'm not getting what I want from here. We all know that the studies have told us that people don't leave the company that they're in, they leave their boss. And so the leaders that are there in organization, we have to rebrand them so that way they are able to excite people, they are able to stimulate people, they are able to motivate people, and they have to do it in a way that maybe they didn't grow up in. They have to motivate them in a different way. We have to find a new reason for individuals to want to be here because they don't have to be here. They can do something else. They can go into a whole nother profession. So I think that that's where I come out, when I look at where the changes that need to take place in organizations and also with leaders. And that's why one of the things that I focus on in my book is rebranding, where I talk about being better than you believe, which has to do with how can we look at the change that needs to take place within individuals, and how can we position ourselves so that way we can be more exciting, not only to ourselves, but also to the people that we're working with. And how can we make this, the place where the people are working, a great place to be? So those are just some of the thoughts that I wanted to.
Well, this is over the top here. This is just great. Yes,
I love
Beverly.
it. I love it, Philip,
Mm.
because you have the model. And just let me just explain how we're at our end looking to implement all those things you speak about. And it's an really I appreciate your overview. Um,
Yeah.
I've worked in a country, obviously in Asia, and it took us a year and 3 months to create one legal instrument. And that was because we worked very sensitively. Obviously, the corporation we represented, we needed to maintain their good reputation and to bridge them into this community. It's a new community for them in a new country. And working with the vendors, the law firms, the partners, the sensitivity of people, all of what you say, the EQ, the CQ, the IQ, everybody has IQ. But the EQ and the CQ were extraordinarily important to bridge and to achieve the result of one legal instrument with consensus.
Right.
We
Yeah,
have two presentations. First will be Philip, and then Paul Falcone, and
Well, I
we're going to
think
have discussions.
well, I think Paul should go first, and then I can go. Yeah, because
All
what
right,
I
I thought you had a time constraint, but
no. I'm okay. I'm
oh,
okay. Yeah, no. I appreciate that. Thank you.
okay, Paul. Your slides can use my screen share. It's open for you, and
All
so
right.
and so. I've previewed the slides are really interesting. And so this headline here, Global TV Talk Radio Podcast, that Paul created that. And this is Global TV Talk Show. And um, 15 years ago, I was fortunate to be able to launch Global Radio Talk Show. Okay, which is uh, it came from a good friend of mine who helped me a long time ago. Paul is his name, not Paul Falcone, but another Paul. And he was a radio engineer in this company that was ahead of its time, or actually in the early stages, embryonic stages of internet radio, internet TV, which is what this is. But back then, this is in 2010. He was a chief engineer for this thing called World Talk Radio. And World Talk Radio was started by a mutual friend who's retired as a mega millionaire now. But back then, we were just normal people. But he was. I'm still not normal. But anyway, World Talk Radio said, I don't have to be on 101.5 on the dial in San Diego. I can talk to the world using what was the internet, but on radio. So they spun records and all that. So Paul says, you need to learn how to be a disc jockey. He gave me his headset and he said, put them on and tell me about your business, California Bound relocation. That was my operating name back then. Okay. And so the we did about 200 radio shows and then put it to bed, but didn't kill it, just put it to bed because I wanted to do other things. And so now I'm reaching back into yesteryear, and I still have many of those original broadcasts, radio shows. And I'm now taking, because of Zoom, we get two camera productions, a close-up, and what we're on now is called a gallery, in other words, a group. But the other one, which is simultaneous, and you'll see later when I send it out to you, whoever is speaking gets full body close-up, and others are in the background. And then also the audio, and then also now, because of AI, the generative text notes. So all of these things are publishing now. And someday I'm going to have Stephen help me put together it into a real book. but because we've got all this raw data and it's just piling up now. It's all on tape. So Stephen, are you still there? Okay. Paul Falcone, I've stopped talking.
No, it's fine. It's so I understand you want to become a billionaire through the show. It's good. I'm good. I think that's a noble goal. That's important.
It's about time at 80 years old. I
Correct.
tell you.
Correct. No, okay, so everyone, real quickly, Ed asked me to put together half a dozen slides, and I'll kind of take you through this. But I was with Paramount Pictures and Viacom, the parent company, for about a decade, from 1998 to 2008. So it's a little outdated, but those were my heydays back at the Paramount Ranch. But anyway, the thought was I was
So
head
I
of an-
just want to jump in here and talk about a little history of myself. I'm from Boston originally, and as a young man, I think I was 26 or something like that. I got connected because of B'nai B'rith. I was president of the Boston B'nai B'rith, and because I could get up in front of a camera and I could be a salesman. So they wanted somebody to do to organize meetings, and so I did. Anyway, in the audience was this guy by the name of Sumner Redstone, and he was a guy who a long time ago, um, with the help of others, put together National Amusements, which then became the owner of Paramount and CBS. And so I was the youngest. I was just a kid, but I was in I was the junior guy in the executive team. Because I was into PR and I could pull things together that nobody cared about doing. Everybody else was older and rich, and I wasn't old and I wasn't rich. So I learned about Paramount and saw how it grew over the years. And that was my beginnings in showbiz, long time ago. So, Paul, thank you.
well, you started at the top, Ed. You might as well start with the chairman of the board and then work your way down.
It
Most
wasn't
people have to
all
go the other way.
it wasn't all peaks, and believe me, I found valleys.
Yeah, no, it's good. But anyway, I was the head of international HR, and we had operations Europe, Asia, Latin America. And so when Ed talked about how do you develop strong remote teams, strong international remote teams, it's kind of right in my sphere. So just quickly through this, the quick bio is I spent about 30 years in HR until about three years ago. 3 years ago, I kind of opened my own consulting firm, and now I do management training and keynote speaking and executive coaching. So I'm having a lot of fun. But for today, I wanted to talk about a few things. I'll start with that second bullet. To be strong in the international space, when you've got satellite offices and you've got people who report to you that you may only see once a year, if that much, it has to be more deliberate. Your communication has to be purposeful. It has to be intentional. It cannot be laissez-faire. It doesn't work in an international environment, especially because of the time restrictions. For those of you who've been in similar situations, you know, you come in the morning and it's continental Europe. By 10 o'clock, you have to finish up with the UK. Before you know it, you're on with Mexico. By the end of the day, South Korea. You know, it's a tight day because you have specific segments. So you really have to think about, you know, what's the pace? What's the rhythm? What's the cadence of successful communication with your teams? And the key to it all, everyone, to me, is by focusing on people's career and professional development. Philip, you mentioned earlier, people join companies, but they leave their managers. And we've known that for a long time. But the reality is, it's all about trust. It's about respect. It's about your character and it's about your caring. People can feel that remotely. They know if you're that kind of leader. So, how do you develop that relationship with people? And that's what's so important. Now, the one thing I would say is this: I think it's important that you have your rhythm down. There should be daily meetings, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and quarterly, in my humble opinion, especially in remote environments where people don't necessarily see each other in the break room, may not, as I said, see each other for months at a time. A daily huddle will work well for some of your employees. It may be when you first walk in the morning and it's the end of their day in India. But the bottom line is you have a chance to sit and kind of catch up even for 10 minutes. The weeklies for your direct reports, the one-on-ones are important. And then for your extended reports, your larger team should be at least bi-weekly. Folks, the pace of change is so quick that if you don't keep up, you will be out of alignment before you know it. So I think that bi-weekly idea is important. And the monthly social gatherings, don't underestimate that importance. If you like the Harvard Business Review books, there's one called On Teams. And it basically says in that book, the amount of time that people on a team spend together doing non-work related activities is the #1 indicator and predictor of strong team performance. So find reasons to bring people together in informal ways. As they develop stronger bonds of trust and friendship, the team just operates at a higher level. Now, the last bullet there, I want to talk about the quarterly professional development meetings. Managers will say they don't have the time for this. There's a way to approach this. I do think that your managers, but especially those in international environments, need to spend time with their employees talking about their career and professional development. That's key. Career and professional development is one of the top 5 priorities that Gen Y and Gen Z have. In publication after publication, just Google it. What are their top 5 priorities? Career and professional development will be in almost all of them in the top 5. And that was important to me too. I was a baby boomer. They weren't tracking us the same way they track, but these are the most studied generational cohorts in world history. We know everything about them. So it would be smart for us to align our leadership practices around what's important to them. So what I would tell my employees is this: look, a once a year performance review is not enough. The world changes too quickly and we're moving too quickly. What I want you guys to do is I want you to take control of providing feedback to me on a quarterly basis. I'm your manager. So what I'm telling you is this: #1, I want you to set time on my calendar. #2, I want you basically to build the agenda for the meeting. My job, you guys, is just to listen and to coach. But I want to hear where you're coming from at that point in time. So again, you don't have to put anything in writing, although you're welcome to if you'd like. But just set the time on my meeting, build the agenda, and then we'll get together on a once a quarter basis, so that there's no surprises at the end of the year, but we feel like we're strong, we're connected. And truthfully, I don't want anyone to ever walk out of my shop thinking Paul Falcone didn't care about my career and professional development. So what I do here is I've got 2 slides. They're kind of small to read, but these are the types of questions that you should have in your pocket as a manager so that you can kind of keep the conversation going. Or if you tend to be more transparent with your employees, just print these out, and I'll do the next slide too. Give these to your employees and say, look, you guys, this is what we're going to talk about. So I want to hear what's important to you. Is it how the team is doing? Is it how you're progressing towards your goals? Do you need additional training? Are you looking for any kind of professional certification? What's important to you? And my job, again, is to help you get there. When you just set up that situation where you're listening, it makes such a difference. And like I say, you can give this to your employees in advance so they're not second guessing, or at least have these questions in the back of your pocket to guide the discussion on a quarterly basis. But people really, really get a lot out of this. There are some people who are going to come to you with spreadsheets and Gantt charts and letters of recommendation, and that's great. They're motivated. You're putting them in a situation to show how great they're doing. Not every employee will be so good at this, but at the same time, you're creating respect in the environment, trust in the environment, and that you're a good listener and you're there to help them put their needs first. Finally, you might want to do this idea of a quarterly achievement calendar, just a spreadsheet on a share drive. There's different tools to use this, but everyone should have their projects being tracked with the date they began and the stakeholders and the current status and the projected end date, so that when they achieve it, you can highlight it in yellow. That's your celebration that week, or your celebration that month, however you want to do it. Then move that from the spreadsheet that you're in right now in the worksheet, create a new worksheet right next to it that says achievements. And your team then lists all those achievements that they're accruing throughout the year, which makes it easier for you and your job, right, to be able to do their performance reviews, but keeps everyone focused on an achievement mentality. That's much more important to think in terms of bullets. What are you doing in terms of increasing revenue, decreasing expense, saving time, improving customer satisfaction? Keep them focused on those bullets. Those are what the achievements are. The opposite of the bullet mentality is the comma mentality. It's the person who says, I do phones, comma, filing, comma, correspondence, comma. I don't care about that. I want to know why you're making it a better place for your having worked here. And that's where I want them to focus. Second bullet, make delegation an opportunity to partner, to share wisdom, to give back, to pay things forward. Don't delegate and let them figure things out for themselves. You're just going to frustrate them and it's going to frustrate you. 3, consider real-time collaboration sessions. All that means is you and one person or you and a team of people actually do a 1-hour meeting together where you're working on the same project. No one has to say anything, But if someone wants to say something, you're there in real time. That will save you tremendous amounts of time in terms of emails and follow-up calls and everything else. Get them used to these live action, real-time collaboration sessions. Your employees internationally will say they really feel like they belong. They
So,
really feel like they're included in the organization when you're able to set that up. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
Paul, when you have these kind of meetings, even though they may be remote like this, do you pass out beer before?
I like the idea. I'm trying to figure out how do you get the beer through the Zoom. I don't know how to do that yet, but for now, no, seriously, because I've had breakfast with employees, and I say, you bring your breakfast, I'll bring mine, and let's sit together and talk for an hour as if we're sitting in a restaurant. People love it. It's cool. So many times people feel like they're cut off from the mamaship, right? They feel like they're not part of the organization. I'm a satellite employee. I'm in a different time zone. I'm in a different country. What can you do to foster that relationship so that they feel that loyalty because of the boss's caring and character and trust and respect? Their emotional intelligence, right? How do you do that? How do you make it safe for your managers to do this? And how do you create a space where your employees feel totally included? So that was my presentation, Ed. I've got my
Thank you.
contact information here if anyone ever wants
Yeah,
me.
this is
But
great.
there you go.
I want to bring in Amico. Amico, would you like to comment on what Paul was just talking about?
Not comment. It's I really like this. Can I have that copy? Because I want to everything. Because it's a good to I want to share with my team. I wanted to use I know we have our own, how do you say, the evaluation, but this is a very good hint and it's motivate me. That means I think that's motivate my team.
Good, Amiko. Yes, you're very welcome to. Ed, you already have it, so feel free to share it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to ask Kana
Thank you.
to
Yes.
speak about this. What do you think of that structured approach?
I totally agree with Paul. Thank you for sharing. And I've been managed like over 50 people at my ex company, but now I'm like a very small team. But I have like one in 30, some they're 30s, and then one in 20s. It's like a Gen Z. And then it's always challenging for me to how to help her in her career. And then she is a very one of the kind to decide to join my startup with she's struggling with doing with somebody in 40s. And then sometimes she was so kind of upset with in the communication about social network marketing or something like that. She was like, oh, I can't really understand you like 40s, but now I think it's a very good way to have one-on-one or like the meeting method. I'd like to give it a try. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I totally like what you're saying. I do something slightly different than what Paul was saying. And I think it's stylistic more than anything. And it also depends on your corporate culture, going back to what Philip says. I tend to separate performance review discussions and career path discussions. And so the performance review is more short-term discussions. It's about their capabilities of handling the job they have or maybe stretching them a bit on their current job responsibilities. Whereas a career path, we talk more about longer term, what new skills they might need to go into another area of the organization to develop, or even within the same part of the organization, but to move up in the hierarchy, things that they need to do. So that's the only thing I would add to what Paul's saying. Again, it depends on your time constraints, your corporate culture, and the formalities of those discussions. But that's the only thing I would add to what Paul said.
Thank you, Beverly.
When it's extremely valuable. I think, and with Generation Z these days, the need for immediate feedback and consistent communication, I think, is extremely important. I'm fascinated because we've all been through COVID, where everyone was working from home, and there now appears to be a need to reinforce all the values and platforms that Paul speaks of the interactive process, feedback. People need feedback, and it's involving people. And it's not simply an Asian culture. So it's exciting for me to hear that this is going to be part of I would think, an important platform for Western countries to follow, because we tend to be quite independent and a little bit more siloed. And we're moving in, I think, a better direction now.
So how is your Taiwan operation going? Is it still thriving?
My my
Yeah, Beverly, your Taiwan operation.
Oh, it is so exciting. It's just we're at the cuffs. It's a very major project. And it's an Asian-based group that's listed in the New York Stock Exchange. And I find it quite exhilarating because we're in a market where a great deal of what Paul expresses is needed. And in many ways, we have to do it through Zoom because we work with partners in different regions to create this. So very valuable, the points taken of the interactive process and short-term feedback, immediate feedback. It's just, it means a great deal. I see it with the partners we work with the vendors we work with, and reinforcing in a positive and respectful way. It's a longer process because every market is different, and it's not a market that maybe is as efficient as others. So exciting for us.
So I'm familiar with the Samsung chip people because I was fortunate to have one-on-one with the Samsung VP Public Policy in DC, and we broadcast that one-on-one, and that led to the U.S. Chips Act, and then of course TMFC or whatever it's called, Taiwan Chips. They've invested huge amounts of money in the U.S. and
They're like the second largest employer in the Phoenix area now, or third largest employer in the Phoenix area and growing.
Yeah, and they have equal strength developing. It's not built yet in north central Texas, in the middle of between Houston and Dallas somewhere. They're doing the same kind of thing. Fascinating, unbelievable.
Actually, one question I like to throw into this group is what is the impact of the Trump administration tariff strategy at the moment, and how is, I mean, that's the elephant in the room.
What strategy? What
In
strategy?
Asia, right?
What strategy?
We were avoiding it.
I think you need to redefine the word strategy. There is none.
Well, I mean, the numbers support it, but you know, but how are the chip makers and producers over there? How are you guys, Beverly and Amika and so on, and Canna? How are you managing your clients on sort of navigating this and helping them understand, because you have this terrific international experience, particularly Beverly, I know you know the States extremely well.
Let me answer some of that.
So how does that work
Let
in
me tell you.
relocation?
Let me tell you what the focus is, and probably should be, and I'm not going to name the country or the client that I'm working with, but let me say it in this way.
No, 20
That
minutes. So
the
yeah, do you want to sit in here and watch?
the requirement that is coming from the United States on other countries is very short-circuited in terms of understanding what's important for companies, what's important for people in their countries, and also how they operate, not only from the standpoint of import and export, but also how companies need to begin to take a look at their own strategic efforts, outside, and not get so caught up, in the way the US is focusing them, and trying to control the direction that they're taking. And so, and let me be more specific, without being specific. The if you are a country in Asia, and so and you have been there's a requirement that has been put on you, in terms of this is how you're going to be taxed. And that's what this tariff is. It's a tax, and also and if you are being told that you have to now begin to move your manufacturing and produce your products in the United States. To me, that goes completely against the whole uh, landscape of international and global business development, which is what a lot of companies are doing now. So to just make this a U.S. focus, is not the way and it's not going to be long-term enduring. And so if companies in their own region don't begin to use this as an opportunity, because I always say when life comes forward, and this is a very Asian way of looking at things, what's the opportunity that I can find in this in order for me to do something differently? And the opportunity, is that perhaps I can begin to do three of four things. One, that it causes me, instead of me just knee jerk saying, well, I'm going to just increase my local prices, but is there another way for me to show the value of my products, to the consumers in my country? Two, is there another way to focus my brands and also to manufacture? And also, are there other partnerships, without, if we're talking about the Asian Pacific area, for example, which is what I'm looking at now, is there another way for us to look at relationships that we can put in place? And how can we begin to look at the regional areas that are that the structures and the tariffs that we have put in place that inhibit us working more effectively with each other? How can we begin to um, look at not only with the Asian countries, but also how can we begin to look at Australia and New Zealand, and what can come from there? How can we also begin to say, well, how can we look at our supply chain for it? So I'm looking at this from a total business perspective, and this is what needs to happen. And the companies that I'm working with right now are beginning to say, we're looking at where we're manufacturing. We're looking at our supply chain, and are there some things that we could do differently from the standpoint of supply chain so that we can take advantage of synergies in a different area? Three, are there other regional and local relationships and connections that we can develop so that way where we might have been strong a week before, we can now be strong because we're working closer together. So I think it's the whole systemic look at that type of economic and manufacturing and business strategy that needs to take place. And that's where I'm going with the companies that I'm working with in Asia Pacific, based on this.
Yeah, I want to say, Paul, thank you very much. I know you got to jump. Philip, would you like to take my screen share?
No, I think because I think everything that I was going to say was within the context of this, so I think we can continue. I like this free flowing conversation, and I think Paul introduced some items which I think are important, and I think it would be good for us to continue on this vein of thinking.
All right, so let's do this another 10, 15 minutes and we'll be on our way.
Because I
So,
knew that's all we had left, and I don't want to put up something that is going to,
I'm sorry.
inhibit,
Yeah.
the conversation, which is, us beginning to free flow. I mean, I was glad that James brought up that question, because I think that it's something that we need to begin to take a look at more proactively, and not reactively, because see, businesses fail when they just let somebody else knee jerk and determine your strategy as a country when you have been operating very well in a certain area. Now is the time for you to take and relook at that. and you can begin to what I call a wonderful thing about blue ocean thinking. Blue ocean thinking, has you not looking at others just as your competitors, but looking at what is the benefit to the consumer, that we can offer differently than we are right now in light of some of the challenges that are coming to us, from other countries, because other countries like the U.S. has the U.S. needs to go back to being a global citizen, in a way that benefits all global countries. I mean, I'm just such a believer in that whole concept. I'm not into this. I personally and professionally, have worked my whole career, last 20, 30 years of my career, in being a global citizen and understanding what that means and how you operate within that particular context, as opposed to going back. You see, we can't go back. Going back and thinking that just one country is going to dominate the world is going back. It's not going forward.
Could I just add to that? I believe in positive approaches, as I think everybody in this still do. So the idea of the geopolitical situation, the tariffs, the xenophobia, I tend to ignore it and look to work on the strength of this region and look to bridge between countries and cultures. And I think that is the best that we can do. After all, when you think of the growth in the future in the next 5, 10, 20 years, it's all going to be in Asia. China is a major market, Indonesia, China. Look at these populations. And we have a long way to go. So if we can continue to reinforce relationships, we don't deal in supply chain, we deal with human capital chain. And that is going to be the basis of the success of which you speak. But if we are able to reinforce, again, positive elements of which Paul speaks of which you do, I think we're all in a better position to see a richer future. And yes, it's unfortunate that we are where we are now. Who would have dreamed?
So
But
make sure you
go in another
use the
direction.
chat. Use the chat to pass out your website or information. No sales pitches, but just make connection, because that's the ROI going forward here. Stephen, please comment.
Oh, I don't know where to begin. One comment, go back to what I think James asked the question is, interesting as Philip discussed it, he kept using the word manufacturing, 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 and supposedly that is the rationale for the tariffs. But then I question, why are the tariffs being applied to agricultural products? Raw products, whether it's tomatoes and avocados from Mexico, or pineapples from the Philippines, or even seafood. It's coming out of Thailand, tuna out of Thailand. Why is it being applied there? So you go back to, we're not a very good global citizen. We're not thinking as a global citizen right now. The other thing is, I think Beverly's kind of touched on it a little bit. I see not a lot, but several of the companies I'm dealing with, they're pivoting. And one of the places they're pivoting to is India. India's middle class is like 400 million people out of a billion. 40% of the population is in the middle class right now, which is larger than the entire population of the United States. So, if you're going to be selling iPads or iWatches or Apple Watches or, toys or whatever, if you make it culturally appropriate for India, you got a hell of a market over there. Last comment I'm going to make, just an observation, Ed, because I'm going to challenge you here, is I would really like to see a topic discussed here, because what amazes me coming here, and you guys don't know me, but I lived in Asia for 21 years. We have 3 women on the program who are entrepreneurs. And so, number one, entrepreneurship in Asia seems to be taking off. And number two, women entrepreneurs outside Thailand. Thailand has historically had women entrepreneurs, and women leading heads of businesses are very often female dominated in Thailand, but not the rest of the Asia Pacific or Asia area. And in this show, Ed, you got three women who are building businesses. And I think female entrepreneurship in Asia would be a great topic for these three ladies to discuss at some point, and others.
I'm on.
Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, Ed, for the opportunity. You know, we're still at the bottom end of the totem pole in respect of women in business. I'm very involved with women in leadership here. And yet I think every day we make new strides in these communities to carry the flag of entrepreneurship and ownership. And sadly, again, because of COVID and all the economic setbacks, we've gone backward a little bit, but we keep again looking forward to create more women in every industry and their successes.
No, I totally
It's a difficult
support
one.
that. The other thing I support is I'd like to see more women authors out there, women writing books I wrote an article recently on LinkedIn, and somebody had recommended 150 top leadership books. And as I analyzed it, only 14 were written by women. And I think another 12 women had co-written, but there, as co-authors, only one of them was the lead author. The others were second and third authors of the publication. So we really need to, our world needs to hear the female voice on leadership, and not just leadership, on marketing, on sales leadership, outside HR. Unfortunately, a lot of the books written by women have an HR perspective, but I really want to see more books written by women leaders about entrepreneurship, about salesmanship. So I throw that challenge out to you as well.
You know, I think
Yeah.
it's a really interesting point, particularly about entrepreneurship, women and entrepreneurship. In the UK, I don't know about the US, but in the UK now, women lawyers have overtaken by number male lawyers, and
Is that
yeah, it's really interesting, and it's a very powerful trend happening here in the United States as well, in professional circles, which of course is different from entrepreneurship, but not necessarily so. You see more women professionals now leading traditional companies and younger companies than you have in the past. But it's very interesting in the professions. I mean, I bump into a lot of lawyers here in America, not just American, but a lot of British and international who come through, and we meet up and we chat. And so many, I would say the vast majority are women. And they're in a leadership role, they're a partner or whatever they may be. And I've got to say, the ones I've met have been excellent.
Yeah.
Not that they shouldn't be, and not that men should be any better, but it's just very, very interesting, the
It's a
development.
trend, particularly in the United States, that'll continue, James, because for the last 3, maybe 4 years, female enrollment in MBA programs has outnumbered male enrollment in MBA programs here in the United States. So there is obviously an opportunity that we're going to see, or trend we hopefully will see more of going forward.
Philip, in City University in New York, that you have a deep experience with, is that true also there?
Oh yeah,
The
no,
numbers of women?
no, it definitely is. Not only in MBA programs, but also in our law school. Also in medical school. So we're seeing, and also in our doctoral programs, we're seeing, the number of women increasing, which is really great. Because the speaking of that, to that point, my daughter is she's a cultural anthropologist at the University of North Carolina, and she just was awarded tenure at the university.
Congratulations.
So
That's great.
thank you. So that also speaks to them beginning to realize that what you want to do is to get people into some of the leadership positions within the universities, so that they're just not adjuncts, the whole time that they're there. So
Excellent. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to run, but before I do so, James, you mentioned East 57th. If I'm not mistaken, I worked with Louise Sunshine on that project. So I can't believe we're home again.
Yes, well, it's just up the
Nowhere.
road. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And only
And it's
two
not,
blocks, only 2 blocks from Studio 59.
well, I got to say, on a personal note, it's lovely to see you again, Beverly, because I think last time
Same
we
here.
met, we were sitting at some conference somewhere in America,
At a conference, right?
whatever it was. But
And I'm
uh,
always thrilled that I was able to introduce you to WRC.
yeah,
That was the beginning of it.
yeah, yeah.
All
That's
be
great.
well. Have a
All
wonderful
the
weekend. And thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you
I'm glad
very
Thank
you
much.
you.
called.
It's so
Come,
good
Yeah,
seeing you.
appreciate it.
come back,
Take care.
please. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Thank
and
you.
I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And happy birthday. Be
Yeah,
Enjoy it
thank
kind.
all
you.
year long.
Take care. Take
Yeah,
care.
and thank you,
Bye-bye.
Stephen, for doing that. Yeah. Thank you all. You'll all get a copy of this show and the audio. Hopefully it'll record well. And but that won't be tonight. It'll be tomorrow.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Paul,
Appreciate it.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank you
everybody.
very
My
much.
pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Philip,
Take care.
let's talk soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye,
definitely.
Miko.
everyone.
Bye. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.